YouTube. So I'm coming to you today with an advice video pretty much, and I was supposed to do this a while ago, but my daughter has been sick and stuff, and just life happened. So I'm getting to it now. And this is from Anonymous, and it says, "Hi, I'm a new subby, and I have a question I would like for you to answer in a video. Me and my boyfriend have been together for 3 years. Now 3 years now. And for a while, he's been treating me like crap. I mean, he buys me what I need, but he doesn't treat me like a girlfriend anymore. He doesn't like me kissing him. We don't have sex. We live together, and all we do all day is sit in the house. We have a 1-year-old son together also. I feel like he's only with me so no one else will have me. I'm 20 and he's 19. Please answer." Okay. So I went to Facebook a couple of days ago, and I put on here, "Dear Facebook, if someone came to you and said, 'Hi, I'm 20 years old, my boyfriend is 19, and we've been together for 3 years and have a 1-year-old son, but my boyfriend doesn't like me kissing him, we don't have sex, he treats me like shit, and I feel like he's only with me so no one else will have me. What advice would you give her?'" So I got a couple of people that responded, and it says, "I would tell her to have a talk with him, and if it's really like that, she needs to take her and her baby out of that situation so she can be truly happy and find someone who would treat her and her baby like they are supposed to be treated." From a guy's point of view, I don't know why she would say it's time to go. Somebody said seek counseling. My cousin said chuck your deuces. Yeah, so that's pretty much, everybody was like, leave, 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 leave. Okay. Now let me tell you, I have an 18-year-old daughter, and if she would have came to me with the same question, she knows my history. Not only did I grow up with a crackhead dad that my mom could have left in a heartbeat and I would have been happy as all hell. My childhood would have been totally different. My life outcome probably would have been totally different if she would have took the initiative to leave this ass before I turned 14 years old. She stayed there until I was 14 years old. Okay? I can tell you from that perspective. I could also tell you from the perspective of me being an 18-year-old mother and leaving her donor at the age of 20. I was your age, and I got the hell out of there because I went through a similar situation. And it was all well and good the first couple of years. I knew him for a year before I got pregnant. The same situation with you, because you had to know him for a year since you were 17. You had to get pregnant, carry for 9 months, and the baby's a year. So I'm coming to you with a similar story. Like, if you go back in my videos, I know you're a new subby, but if you go back in my videos, I did 2 poems that I wrote, or no, I told one story of how I grew up with a crackhead, and I also read a poem called Deadbeat Dad, and those were 2 stories that relate to the situation. Because if you go back and watch, like, okay, my dad was a crackhead, and my mom decided that it was alright for him to be a crackhead and to be abusive to us. I resented her for a long time. I used to be really mean to her, and I was really bitter towards her because she allowed this man to not only do drugs, but take it out on us when he didn't have his drugs, and physically abuse us. And not until he put his hands on her did she finally get a restraining order and leave him, when the abuse finally went too far and it was too much for her, because it started being lashed out on her. Before, it was us he used to take it out on. My whole point of saying that is, it's not healthy for your child. And if you're staying with him because of your child, trust me, don't. Because I am speaking from your son's voice. To get out now. You think because he's a year old, it's not going to matter, he's not going to remember, I want to live happily ever after, I want my son to have a daddy, that whole hoop blah whoop blah. Yeah, I wanted that too. But I didn't get that with my daughter's donor. And I call him that because he is not her father, he is not daddy. He simply put sperm inside of me that helped create the life of my child. He is a sperm donor. That's all he is. He very well could have put sperm in a cup and I could have got inseminated, and it would have been the same thing, because I was a single mom all the way up until my daughter was 8 years old. We've been through the struggle. We've been hungry. We went to shelters. We've been through it in those 8 years. It wasn't until I met Darnell, who is my current husband, and we've been together going on 11 years this year. And it wasn't until I met him that there was stability in my life. Even though I did do it by myself for 8 years. I went through shelters. I was working, going to school, and taking care of my daughter. I traveled from, see, I'm in Philadelphia, and West Philly and West Oak Lane are long ride apart. And I did that every morning, 6:30 in the morning. Made sure I went to work, made sure my daughter was in school, made sure I picked her up, made sure, you know what I'm saying, we had something hot to eat. I had to do that by myself. And I'd rather go through that struggle any day than to be unhappy. You have to know your worth. You have to know that it's better for you to get out now before it gets any worse. Because trust me, it's going to get worse. If he's the type of dude who doesn't want to let go of you because he's afraid somebody else is going to have you, that's not going to turn into anything positive ever. Like, it's going to be to the point where he's going to be like, where you going? Who you with? What you wearing? Why you wearing that? Why you wearing that makeup? Why is your hair like that? No, you can't talk to your mom. I don't care, you can't talk to your sister. It's going to get controlling. Like, trust me, I've been there. I've done that. Let me tell you, my daughter, my 18-year-old, her donor, I was 17 when I met him, and I was suicidal. I hated my life. My mom had finally got a restraining order on my dad, and I hated my life. So I was suicidal. So her donor took me from that suicidal state and made me laugh again. I was on a hunger strike. I ate for the first time with him in like a month. I didn't eat anything. I just drank water, and I lost so much weight. It was a really bad time in my life, and he was that pick-me-up. And to me, he was my world. He was my everything. And I gave him my virginity as a gift, I guess, for taking me out of this suicidal state, taking me from myself, making me forget why I was upset. He took all that pain away from me, and I gave him my virginity. And in doing so, I got pregnant with my daughter. Now, I look at my daughter as a blessing from God, because at the time, I had nothing to live for. And I was ready to die. I had no family. I didn't get along with anybody. I had friends. Yeah, I had a couple of friends, and that's who I was staying with, and that's how I met him and all that. But I was in a bad place. And he took me out of that place, and I thought I owed him for taking me out of that bad place. And I really look back at it now, and I have no regrets. I have no regrets, because my daughter was a blessing. She was a gift to me. She was the reason I lived. She was the reason I'm motivated, and I went to school, and I went to work. She was the reason I grew up, and I did what I had to do. I'm 18 years old. So then I get engaged to her donor, and we moved to Ohio, which is where his family is from. I'm from Philly, born and raised. Yeah, I was born in South Carolina. I left there when I was 3 years old. I've always been Philly. So that's all I knew. So I'm moving to a different state with this man. I had a ring on my finger. I had my baby, who at the time was like 3 months. And I thought everything was going to be happily ever after. We were going to live in this house with the white picket fence, and we're going to have a dog and probably a couple more kids. And it just didn't work out like that. And even me at 20 years old, living in a different state, knew better than to stay with this man who wasn't making me happy, who in the long run cheated with the babysitter. I was working 12 hours a day. He wasn't working while we were in Ohio, unless he was like doing street pharmacy, because I never asked him for shit, not even in the state I moved and we were supposed to get married in, and his family was from. And I wasn't driving then because you had to have a car in Ohio. Like, it was no buses that ran out there, so you had to have a car. And for me to get back and forth to work, I had to depend on his stepfather and his family to get me back and forth to work. Okay? Let me tell you how. At 20 years old, a new baby, working full time, I got an apartment in Ohio for me and my daughter. I got an apartment for us. She's a year old now, and I was still engaged to this dude. I never let him move in with me. He didn't put in on this. You ain't put no security deposit. You're not even working. And then I'm so glad. I have no regrets. Like I said, I'm so glad I was as smart as I was. He never stepped his foot inside my apartment. Like, what 19-year-old does that? Like, I know you're living with your boyfriend now, and that's the dreams I had, that I was going to get my own place. But even at 19, 20 years old, I was like, oh, we could live here together. He can help me pay the bills. He can help take care of my daughter. He can watch her, because he was a glorified babysitter, because I don't think no man, father, should be told to watch their daughter while their girlfriend, fiance, is at work for 12 hours a day. But I actually had to hire a babysitter. Come to find out, he was fucking the babysitter. I didn't find that until after I left him. So, that woman's intuition. You know something's not right. And I had that intuition that something wasn't right. When I was around her and him, it was tension. It was like something in the air. And I got the fuck out of there. Let me tell you how. I just put a lease down on this apartment. I just moved in. Got my little furniture popping. Got my little pans and pots. Oh, you couldn't tell me I wasn't independent. 19 years old, my own place in the state. I had nobody in except for his side of the family. I was doing it. You know what I'm saying? But I packed me and my daughter up. And mind you, I'm there for a year. So I had furniture. I had pots and pans. I had things I left there. And I only took the clothes that I was going to need when I got back to Philly, and the bottles, her diaper bag, Pampers, and things like that. I got on the Greyhound bus and went back to Philly, a 12-hour ride. And it was the best decision of my life. To leave him, to leave everything. I left everything. I gave him the ring back. I left Ohio. I came back to Philly. I wasn't here for a week before I started working, got enrolled in school, and was raising my daughter at the same damn time. So don't stay there for no man. I mean, for your child. Don't stay there for no child. Don't do that. Because in the long run, your son is going to pay the ultimate price. He's going to be there when the tension kicks in. He's going to be there when mommy is upset and daddy's arguing. He's going to be there for all that. And he doesn't need to be. He didn't ask to be. And you don't think I thought that at 20 years old with my daughter, the same age as you? That's why I'm so glad that you came to me with this question, because I can give you an honest answer. Pack your shit up and go. Know your worth. Know that your child should not have to live like this, and because he's a year old doesn't mean anything. My daughter was the same age. Like, you don't understand how similar our story is. You don't understand. It wasn't to the point where we weren't having sex. It was just awkward. It was weird. I didn't really want him to touch me. I really didn't want him to. He didn't deserve me at that point. After you make me feel like the bottom of your shoe, you can't touch me. So I didn't really care I wasn't having sex with him. I really didn't. And he was busy fucking somebody else. You might want to check that out too. Because why is a man not having sex with his baby mom that he lives with? Y'all sit in the house. He don't want to go nowhere. He don't even want you to kiss him. Nah, boo-boo. I'm going to tell you from experience, and I didn't find this out until I got back to Philly, and he followed me from Ohio to Philly and tried to get back with me. But this what kills me. He would show up at my mom's house and want to see me, but see his daughter at 2:30 in the morning. So he came to see me, but you wanted to see your daughter knowing damn well she was asleep. So you were there to see me. I don't have nothing to say to you, bruh. I never gave him a second chance. I came back to Philly. He was on his hands and knees. He begged me. He cried. He did everything possible to get me back. And it was too late. When a woman's fed up, she's fed up. And there's nothing you can do about it. in my R. Kelly voice, like, there's nothing a man can do about it. Don't let him come and sell you dreams. This is bullshit. He's showing you who he is right now. Maya Angelou said it best. If somebody shows you who they are, believe them. He is showing you who he is. If you want to sit down and talk to him and let him give you the runaround, let him tell you everything is all right, and you just delusional and you making this all up in your head and it's really not like that, and he loves you and all that, you go ahead. But if you go ahead and you ask him and you sit down and you talk to him, but he is showing you who he is. And he's not going to get any better. A matter of fact, it's going to get worse. He's going to be more controlling. He's going to be more... And you're going to be more dependent on him. Don't be dependent on no man. Don't do it. Because in the long run, I just wish... I really wish you would just take heed to what I'm saying to you, because I was there. I'm telling you from experience. And I guess you got that out of a couple of my videos. I know you're a new subby, but there's a reason you came to me. And that's because you probably peeped a couple of my videos where I'm talking about the donor. And I had the poem up, Deadbeat. And I had the crackhead video up about my own dad who wasn't shit. And I wish my mom would have got out. I wish she would have got out. I'm the child's voice. And I'm the voice of your conscience. And I'm the child's voice. I lived both sides of the spectrum. That's why I knew to get the hell out when I could. Because my daughter was not going to live like how I lived. And he didn't have to do crack. He was treating me bad. And that's all it was. It didn't have to be drugs. This was his natural stupidity. And I got the hell out. 12-hour ride. And I was lost at the beginning, but I found myself. I stayed in my Bible. I stayed talking to God. I stayed in my faith. I looked at my daughter every day and that smile on her face, and knowing that she wasn't going to have to wake up with mommy and daddy arguing, that she wasn't going to have to wake up and be bitter or upset. And she's a beautiful 18-year-old now. She's beautiful and intelligent and doesn't take any shit. She was even in a relationship at 15 years old for 2 years, and this dude told her that she had to be 120 pounds or he couldn't fuck with her. So you know what she said, like, you seen the video, go back and look at my videos. Like, I told my daughter's story. I think it's titled Once Upon a Time, or my daughter's Once Upon a Time so far. I think that's the name of it. That's her story at 15 to 17 of how she had to deal with a dickhead. And she got the hell out of there. And he's still calling her and texting her and trying to get in touch with her to this day because he know he lost something great. Too late. Just like her dad. He knows he lost something great. To this day, he trying to holler. And that is even more stamp of what my daughter knows, because he was with somebody and he was trying to holler at me. So he's still stuck in his ways. He's 37, 38 years old, and he's still doing the same thing. So my daughter seen firsthand of why the hell I left. And I didn't have to turn her against him at all. He made his own bed. He decided the streets. He decided the pussy. He decided the drugs. He decided everything but to be a father. And now at 18 years old, he's trying to get back in her life and talk to her and be a part of it. And she don't want no parts to him. There's nothing else to say. She's working. She going to college. You never did shit for her. What is there to talk about? And then his family gets upset because she calls him by his first name. Nigga, that's your name. You're not dad. You're not father. Darnell took on that role when she was 8 years old. That's who she calls daddy. And he earned that. Anybody can be a goddamn father. It takes a real man to be a dad. And that's real shit. And I lived that too. Like, I lived that too. Where my daughter could only tell you about 2 men I've ever dated. And I've dated plenty more. But my daughter would never know that, because I didn't have every Tom, Dick, and Harry in my daughter's life. And the same for your son. Just because it's a boy, don't sit there and think you can have different men around him. Because you and his father need to just call it quits. There's like no talking. What do you want to say? Like, he's showing, like I said before, he's showing you who he is. Any words that come out of his mouth is simply to keep you trapped. And if you stay in that trap, it's going to get worse, and he's going to get controlling, and then maybe even turn to physical abuse. Your son doesn't need to be around that. He will be a better person in life, and he will not resent you when he gets older if you leave now. Trust me, I'm the child, and I've been in your situation. So I'm glad you asked me that. I hope you take heed. I hope you don't think, oh, the good times are so good that I should stay. But I'm telling you, the bad times are worse, and it's going to get even worse, because then it's going to be controlling over top of it all. Trust me, that's what it's going to lead to. Trust me. Like, I can go on and on and on, but this video is long enough and you get the point. I know you get the point. I did it at your age and I was on my own, and you can do it too. The only thing stopping you is you. The only thing he's put in your head is dreams. Even if he gives you that much courtesy, because he don't even seem like the type of dude who even sells you dreams or even tries to keep you. He almost wants you gone, but he just doesn't want anybody else to have you. Like you said, if you know that, you got to go. And if it's you and your son in a goddamn shelter somewhere, if that's the only place you have to go, then that's what you have to do. Me and my daughter ended up in the shelter, and we're in this beautiful house for 7 years, and we're just fine. And she's 18 years old, and she's in college, and she's working, and she is a better person because I left. And I am a better person because I left. He wasn't going to tell me my self-worth. He wasn't going to lower my esteem. It's my esteem. Nobody else has control over. Your self-esteem belongs to you. Nobody else can take that away from you. And right now, you have a low self-esteem if you stay with somebody who is allowed to dictate your future and your life by keeping you trapped. And material shit don't mean nothing. Like I said, you could be by yourself with your son in a shelter and have one goddamn bag to yourself. Trust me, it gets greater later. Trust me. Like, I've been there, and I'm the voice of your son, and I'm the voice of your conscience. Get the hell out now.